Hello, Just Jax here and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make a new species. I'm quite fascinated with what's in the ocean. There's so much we don't know that's down there, and there's always new species cropping up, new to us, and they're always so fascinating and so bizarre looking. It's alien down there. It's as alien down there as it is up there. So I bought a load of sponges the other day for another project. I can tell you what it is now. It's going to be SpongeBob Scarepants to go with Patrick Starefish and Glary the Snail. And in my hunt for sponges, I bought three different kinds. There was this one, which I was going to perhaps cut. There was a little tiny face sponge and some big yellow bath sponges. I've since chosen the one that I want for that project. And I was looking at this. I was like, that looks like that's the beginning of a fish. I think we're going to call it the Spongebubble, because we're going to be using sponge and bubble wrap. When I had a play with resin a few weeks back now, working on different surfaces if you can cast without having silicone moulds. If I remember, I'll try and pop the link in the description to that one. And the bubble wrap had such a cool effect. I thought, oh, that would be really cool for like his fins, his tail and his dorsal fin. I've got some eyes that I'm throwing about the place, and I thought they'd be cool. We're going to sink them in. So we've got some really freaky, real looking eyes. Unsure whether we're going a teeth route or not. Some fish have teeth, and they are interesting looking. So we've got a few bits to play with. We've also got super glue. We've got some crafting bits, like some cuttables, so we can work out if we're cutting the mouth in, sinking the eyes in, so on and so forth. Bubble wrap, pre-taped down to keep it nice and, well, relatively flat for us. I've got the silk clay out, because if I am going to do teeth, I'm going to do a bit of gum work, so we can pop that in there. And I've got some chameleon mica powder and some shimmer powder, so I'm unsure which one I'm going to go for yet. I thought about keeping the fins transparent, but I think I might go semi-transparent, so they're like transparent at the bottom, or colour at the bottom, and then they go transparent, like clear towards the end. So I think what we should do first, before we decide with the fins, is start cutting into this. I'm thinking this is going to be the front. So it already, to me anyway, looks like there's a bit of a mouth section there potentially. And I'm thinking, I weren't too sure whether to go for eyes like this way up. Eyes angled down ever so slightly, or eyes angled up ever so slightly. Up might be working actually. So let's say we're going to go about there and there. Let's make a little cut about there and see what happens if we just pull that open. We might need to make it a little bit deeper. Let's get that glued where we want it. Okay. We have some well sunken eyes. Now, I'm thinking we've got to have quite a wide mouth. We're going to try our best to bring it down a little bit. So we've got a bit of chasm going on. Same for up the top. We're going to try our best to do the same there. Come in a little bit. So we've got somewhere to sink the gums in. Let's make a bit of a gum I very nearly glued that to the tabletop then. Very nearly. Right. Open wide, mate. Yes. Because we can always glue around that edge and push it in a bit. So we're going to try and do the same with the top. Yes. Teeth. Now, this is where these molars are going to come into shine, because I've been using a lot of the incisors. So we're going to be bold and brave and glue and stick. We're not even going to try and position them first. We're just going to be bold and brave. Yeah, these are the ones that are going to force the mouth open a little bit. A mouth. That is definitely a mouth. Now, what we're going to look at doing is creating some fins. So I'm thinking something like that for his side ones. We want a long one to go down the back there. And if we're going to start with colour and go out into clear, let's start with yellow. And then maybe a touch of whatever this colour is. It's like burgundy. Now this UV resin, we're going to pretty much let it do its own thing. We're just going to guide it in a rough shape. So we are going to disappear for a second while this cures. I don't think that's going to get over both of them. I think we'll have to go one at a time and make sure that does not sit in it. Right, we have two amazing fins here. So, whilst that's having a bake, let's prep the dorsal fin. So we'll have a bit of this running across here. We'll keep with the same palette that we used. We'll have a little bit of this. Same again. So we are going to disappear again for a second while this does its thing. Oh, that's going to be the piece that goes down the centre. Now we're going to look at how we can do this. I was thinking of 2 torches. And then blue tack down here. That about there. Now, this is going to be an experiment. If this works, brilliant. If it doesn't, back to the drawing board. This is the grand experiment. Now that will still go. Let's try and see if this will work. Now I think there's every chance it's going to pool. Because it might be a case of doing this and then moving it and filling in. Alright, many layers later. And much curing later. Okay. It worked. And we're going to look. He looks so cool, doesn't he? At where we're putting these. And if we're putting, I think fins should be shiny side up. So we're going to want to make an incision here and here. Sorry, buddy. To go in like that. He's definitely interesting looking. Now, Move that along so this end bit can get done. This one will have the bigger bit towards the back. Now the tail is going to be interesting to put in because we've only got, it's going to be very close to this. It might even follow it down, we'll see. Oh, check him out. Oh, new species. I think we do need to find a way to wedge the mouth open a little bit. Whilst he was drying, I was trying to make him a base. I was trying to think up all ideas because I don't want him to take his tail off the ground, basically. So we're going to go for doing a rock style air drying clay rock base, and he can be chilling on the rock base. We'll also make it a bit underwatery, like we did with Slimedpuss. So what we're going to do first, on my pre-cling filmed base here, is make a base. It's got to be big enough for that rock. A little bit bigger. Not a whole heap bigger, but a little bit bigger. Well, we've got it roughly where we want it. Now, I love the feel of smoothing this over, but I don't want to go too smooth. I want to let it have a bit of a rock-like nature to it. So let's pop that on there. A bit of dimpling. I'm going to leave that to dry. Wash my hands because they look chalky. Right, base for Spongebubble, our beautiful new species here, is still drying. So I've been having to think about him in the meantime, what I can do that's potentially going to take time, so he may as well be drying while the base is drying. He's grown. He was just a baby Spongebubble. Turns out he's a member of the anglerfish family. He grew his lure in. This is his lovely little lure. So he is going to attract stuff. Now we are going to add some detail to that later. I was thinking of trying to incorporate a bit of the colour that's gone into his fins, into his body somehow. So I'm thinking of dotting in some of his little spongy craters. Not all of them, just a few here or there either side, up the top, nowhere else. Maybe sort of like V'ing in a bit. And then we are going to, so I was going to do that and then try the varnish thing. That's why varnish is there, because that's what I was originally going to do. I thought, well, the varnish is going to drag it. However I play the varnish is going to drag it. But if I pop this in a couple of little craters first, seal it in there with resin, UV resin. Now, once I commit to this, I am committing to this. There's no going back once I start to put this in one of his craters. So, let's commit. Yeah, we're going to stop there. Otherwise, he'll end up all dotty. I don't want them everywhere. I just wanted a little bit running down the middle there. And very carefully line some of these craters. This is what I'm going to do to all the dots. So we'll flash forward. Just very briefly, I thought this was worth you seeing. I made a rig. So my torch is hanging from my camera. But it means I can go hands-free now. This is the Spongebubble angler. He has got a lure. Now, what I did was I got carried away. I was going to record that so you could see it being made, but I honestly just got carried away. I've frayed some ribbon, super glued it, repositioned the light a touch, got a little off-cut of sponge, super glued that. So I bring him up here. so it's not just ribbon clearly hanging off the end. And I've splotted a bit of colour over the blue, and when that is dry I'll splot a little bit more and then varnish it. I am going to leave the thread as it is so you can get in and out of there to turn his light on and off. His base is dry, so we're going to get painting that today. So I've got just some white, black, space pearl grey, pearl white, Gamboni yellow, pearl gold, no, pearl copper. Yeah, pearl copper and pearl bronze. So we're going to cover the whole thing, but we haven't got to be too pretty about it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's like a big black stone at the bottom of the sea. Right, the stone is lovely and dry and looking quite stony. So let's get a bit of this. Not one of my girl's hairs, which I can see in there already. Let's go to another palette, another tray. Go to this one and get some of this. And a bit of this. Maybe even a bit of this. A bit more of this. What I will do is find something this to stand on, so we can come just under the edge there. So I'm going to, as with all sculptures that have a base at least, I shall be felting the base so it's got something nice to stand on so it doesn't tarnish any surfaces. So I will have to eventually sell a load of my baby creations. I am rapidly running out of space. So I'm thinking just something easy to get the ball rolling for me is Etsy. These are all going to be one-off pieces. I think that's what the plan's going to be as far as getting these guys rehomed in the long run. Well, in the short run. In the long run, I will set up an online shop. That's in the long run. Right, that's pretty cool. Let me get a couple of these. Perfect. Right, we are back with Mr. Spongebubble. He has his lure. His base is nice and varnished and dry. That looks pretty cool, right? So what we are going to do now, I have cut a little divot out of his underside. So we're going to have to glue him there because I don't want his tail resting, but if it does, it's not the end of the world. I'd like to try and have his tail not resting, but like I say, I don't know, he kind of sits quite nicely like that. So let's get a bit of glue on that underside. In fact, if he's resting like that, he's not going to wobble. And be quite generous with the super glue. Now I'm just going to leave him for at least 24 hours because I want that super glue to be 100% glued before I move him any further. Then the only thing left to do is I'm just going to varnish his lure. I'm going to leave the tassely bit as it is. I'm not going to varnish that. So I'm just going to varnish the little sponge attachment that we did here and the wire that I've painted over in a stippled style so that it looks like it's part of him. He is gorgeous. I've turned all the lights off. I have waited for this final shot to be at night because his little light is actually on. I don't think you can see it glowing, but you will when I turn the lights off. Oh, I love him so much. He is so cool. Let me get lights out. So I will turn the flash off on here in a second just so you can see all the detail. His little toothy grin in there. His beautiful green eyes. Oh yes, and his spots. Look at his spots. Oh, it's a good thing he's glued on there really well. I'm probably going to do that a few times. And his lure. Now let's see if this works when I turn the flash off. Hopefully. How cool is that? Hopefully you can just about see him. But that's the most important bit. His lure. It makes, oops, that was me wobbling. It's such a cool pattern on the tabletop. I wonder if we get my subtle blue light. There we go. How cool. That is a thing of beauty. If I bring the blue light right up there. That is so cool. Lights back on. Oh, see now I'm going to have a big sale soon and sell a load of bits to make space for some more. I don't know if I can sell this guy. He's so, so beautiful. Oh, that does happen because I made it so that it wasn't stuck on there. So if I were to sell him, or even just keep him, I'm able to replace it. Let me turn that off for now. So yeah, that is the adventure and the creation and the birth and the discovery of the new angler breed from the deepest depths of the ocean. The Spongebubble. I'm going to hold that for a second whilst it's not on and I'm moving him around. How cool and beautiful. Right, I'm going to stop moving him around for a second. He can chill there. I'm going to put this back up here. And then I'm going to say thank you all so much for stopping by and checking me and my channel out. I do hope you've enjoyed this little journey. I hope it's given you some ideas. It's definitely given me more ideas. I do absolutely love learning. I don't find them personally. Learning about new deep sea finds, new species. They're so fascinating. It is an alien world down there. A very beautiful alien world. And yeah, like if you like what you see, comment if you've got something to say, and subscribe if you really like what you see and you want to see more and know when it's coming. Thank you all again so much. Take care and see you in the next one.